Welcome to the entry app, and now we will start from the basics. So, you know already the syllabus, whole syllabus of the basics, means not the whole syllabus. As I said, 22 points will be there. So, I am going to start from the first obviously, and these are the basics. So, do not skip, and I will go a bit slow, then eventually at the last you will feel that I have increased the speed, because for the first time if you are studying the TOC, I have to get a bit slow from the start. So, now let us check. The first point in the basics is this symbol. So, first point is the symbol. What is symbol? So, need just see this. This is the first basic point of the theory of computation. You need to know what symbol is. So, there is no definition of symbol. Frankly speaking, there is no definition of symbol. Okay, what is the definition? No. Like there is no definition of atom, there is no definition of point. So, points, the collection of points makes a line, collection of atoms makes a molecule, and molecule makes the element or whatever. So, there is no definition of the symbol. We can understand the symbol with examples. So, if you want to know the definition, I would say it is the smallest entity of the subject theory of computation. It is the smallest entity. So, by symbols we make strings, and by strings we make languages, and in a TOC we study about languages. Okay. So, first of all, okay, just leave this basics, the first point in the basics, that is symbol, for a while, just leave it. Just okay, first we discuss what is theory of computation and why do we need theory of computation. So, first of all, we study theory of computation is because it is in the syllabus of the GATE. This is the first reason. Another reason is we need theory of computation for the main 2 points. We have the reason why we need theory of computation. The second point is, I will tell you the first later. The second most important point, the reason behind why we study TOC is to design a compiler. To design a compiler. That is to design a compiler. To design a compiler, we need a mathematics, and that mathematics is theory of computation. So, now to design a compiler we need TOC, and the next question arises, why do we need compiler? So, this you will get in the subject compiler. Why do we need compiler? Okay. So, now the first point is, why do we need theory of computation? Okay, now just focus. If you want to answer a problem without solving the problem on the first place, then you need some kind of mathematics, some kind of analysis, so that you can answer, okay, the problem has solution and we can solve it. Let me repeat it once again. If you answer whether the problem has solution or not without even solving it on the first place, then we need some kind of mechanism or mathematics to answer that. Okay, let me give you one more example. If you have 1,000 square feet plot, 1,000 square feet plot you have, and you want to make a house on it. So, first of all you have to know that whether a house or a building is possible on this plot or not. Okay, what if you collect all the necessary items, all the necessary equipments which are needed to construct a house or a building? If you collected everything and you just have started, and later 1 to 2 months you got to know, okay, on this plot it is not possible to build to construct a building or to build a house, because the soil of this plot is not up to the mark. It is of different kind. If we make a building, it may collapse after a few years, maybe. I am just giving example. Okay, after a few months you got to know this is the highly sensitive area, because the Air Force station is nearby or the airport, you can't construct more than 2 stories, or maybe it is the earthquake prone zone, you can't construct it, or there may be a hell lot of many reasons are there. So, my question is, can we answer a problem without solving a problem itself on the first place, whether the solution is possible or not? Without solving a problem, we want to answer whether it has any solution or not. In this type of questions, you need a TOC, a theory of computation. So, by theory of computation, you can answer a problem without solving it, whether the problem has solution or not. Okay, now I will give you another example. You must have watched a very famous iconic movie. The name is Titanic. You all know, you have watched the movie. So, what happens in that movie? The Titanic ship just collided with an iceberg. Okay, and it got some damages in the lower part of the ship. So, in the movie, the architect, the designer of that ship was also traveling on that ship. So, people, the concerned people or the authority just goes to that person and asks, sir, this happened. Now, tell us what to do. Is it going to sink, or we can survive it, or whatever they ask. So, that architect on that ship just open the blueprint of the ship, that is the mathematical model of the ship, all the design, the chart which contains the mathematical model of the ship, the mathematics of that ship. And after analyzing the situation and the mathematical model, he said, okay, we are going to sink this, the ship is going to sink within 1 to 2 hours. He never went to see the actual damage, the holes that had created after the collision. So, he mathematically answered, okay, we are just going inside the ocean, this ship is going to sink. So, mathematically he answered that we have only 1 to 2 hours left. So, what I am saying, by mathematical model, by mathematical calculation, he just said that it is going to sink. So, we have only 1 to 2 hours left. So, before solving the question itself, by analyzing the question mathematically, we need to answer on the first place whether the problem has a solution or not. One more example on this topic is, see, okay, now if you want to draw this graph without repeating the edges and without removing the marker from the paper or from the board, means without repeating the edges and without removing the marker, without just holding back your marker, if you want to draw this graph, you try this. If you want to draw, means without repeating the edges and without just pull out your marker, just keep going and keep going. So, you want to draw the graph which one? This one. Can you do this? So, what normally person do, they just try to construct it, and after 5 to 6 attempts they say, okay, it is not possible to design, it is not possible to construct this way. Okay. So, after having tried for 4 to 5, 6 times, they came to the conclusion that it is not possible. But my concern is, without even solving the problem, can you answer it is possible or not by analyzing it mathematically? Okay, now, so in graph theory, you study one concept, it is Euler graph, and Euler graph, they say you can traverse each and every edge of the graph only if the graph has even degrees for all the vertices. So, in the graph, the degree is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 odd. So, if you have all the degrees of the vertices are if the degree of all the vertices is even, then it is possible, otherwise not. So, mathematically I just say this, okay, I will say, okay, not possible. So, this is the mathematics, this is the story, this is the importance of theory of computation. Without solving the problem itself on the first place, You need to answer whether the solution is possible or not. Like in aptitude questions, we try the question 4 to 5, 6 times and we say, okay, answer is option D, data is insufficient, cannot be determined, option D is the answer. So, why after attempting 4 to 5 times? Just read the question, analyze all the information given, and you must came to the conclusion that okay, it is not possible, or whether it is possible, whatever. So, without solving a problem on the first place. So, that was the first point. To know whether the problem is solvable or the problem has a solution or not, we need the mathematics, and the mathematics is theory of computation. So, this is the story, or you can say this is the importance of this subject. So, another question comes into the mind, what if we have a problem, okay, just a minute, okay, now we have a problem. So, we have two conditions, whether it has a solution or there is no solution for the problem. Means if I give you one problem, so okay, it is a solution. So, if I give you one problem and I ask you whether the problem has a solution or not. So, you have done your analysis and you just said, okay sir, this problem has a solution. So, this problem has a solution. So, in our theory of computation subject, the term we use is decidable, means you will say, sir, the problem has a solution, it means the problem is decidable, the problem is decidable, and the problem which has no solution is undecidable. The problem that has no solution at all is simply undecidable, and the problem which has solution, we will say it is decidable. But the problem has solution, it is decidable, but there is again another problem. The problem is, let us check example. You are preparing for exam and you have wasted all the time, and on the exam day you said, sir, I am going to fail because I did not prepare, I was watching movies, IPL and playing games all the time. So, right now I am not confident enough, and I am sure I am going to fail because I did not prepare for the exam. I am sorry for it, but I am going to fail, you said to me. Oh, okay, and I said to you in reply, okay, don't worry, I will arrange some cheat sheet for you. Means you will pass the exam, I will give you some cheat sheet. I will give the solution on the paper, you just copy it and you will pass in the exam. But what happens, I gave you the cheat sheet in the language, means the cheat sheet was written in German, means you have a solution, you have an option for the cheating, means you can copy the answers to your answer sheet and you can pass the exam very easily, but the solution which I have provided to you was written in German, means you have solution but you can't use it, but because you don't know German, assume for it now. So, you have a solution, but that solution is not useful for us, or you can't use that solution. You have the copy but in solution, but in the German language, and that language you can't use, simple. So, the problem is decidable, you have solution, but again you can't use it. So, we divide the solution in 4 classes, and the 4 classes are P class, NP class, NP hard and NP complete. Whether the solution is useful or not, whether you can use that solution or not. So, we have 4 solutions. We have a solution for a problem is not sufficient. You can use that problem practically is important. So, P class, NP hard and NP complete. So, after deciding whether this problem has a solution or not, algorithms comes into the picture, whether the solution can be useful in practically or not. So, after the TOC, algorithms comes into the picture, another subject of your GATE, algorithm design and analysis. So, design an algorithm in such a way that answer you quickly or very fast or in short, it must be useful. Okay, now if you go to the ATM You swipe your card, you enter your PIN, and the message comes there that you can take your money after 2 days. Then what is the purpose of that kind of algorithm which gives you answer after 2 days? So you have a solution, you have to write in an efficient algorithm so that you can get the answer with a fraction of time. You can say not 2 or 3, 4 days. So here we will discuss, means we are discussing right now whether the solution is useful or not practically. You have solution, so can you use it practically? That's all about the, you can say the TOC. So TOC answers only the solution is possible. Algorithm says whether this is solvable or this is useful or not. So there comes a concept time complexity, space complexity and so on. And if it has no solution, then we can't do anything. This problem has no solution. Okay. So now what is the problem? Okay, what is the meaning of undecidable? Means if I say the problem has no solution, then what is the meaning of this? Then what is the meaning of that word or undecidability, or you can say undecidable? Let me tell you some more thing on that. So, okay, sorry for this. Okay, I am just stuck on it, so I am not that comfortable on this particular software. So let me erase it completely. So now check. What is the meaning of undecidability or problem has no solution? So I am just discussing what is undecidability or undecidable problems. Now focus on this. It is very important again, because you will get this word very frequently in the TOC: undecidable, undecidability, decidability. So now, let me give you one practical, or you can say one example. Okay, there is a problem. I want to check the honesty of the persons. I want to check the honesty of the person. I asked you as a student, as a teacher, I asked you to a student. Okay, I want to check the honesty of a person. What will you do? What is the solution? How to check the honesty? Then you said to me, sir, I have one algorithm. So I asked, what tell me, what is an algorithm to do this? You said, sir, in an empty room, just put out some 10 rupee note in the empty room. Okay, if a person is all alone and he sees the 10 rupee note on somewhere in the empty room, if it picks up that 10 rupee note, then he is dishonest. If he didn't pick, then he is honest. I said, okay, let's check if this algorithm works or not. So you said, okay sir, try this one on some faculty. Okay, just for example, try this on me. Okay, now for a moment assume this, I don't know the algorithm. You just trying your algorithm on me. Okay, and I don't know anything about your algorithm on the first place. Assume this now. So I just came in the room and the room was empty like this one. So I got one 10 rupee note, just trended. Nobody knows about that 10 rupee note. So I just saw it and I said, okay, that's a 10 rupee note. Okay, leave it alone. So you thought, sir didn't pick up that 10 rupee note. He is very honest. So you told me about your algorithm, and I laughed and said, oh, that was only 10 rupee note. Just put down 1 lakh rupees. I am going to pick up for sure. So you said, okay. So 10 rupees didn't work. 1 lakh may if we put 1 lakh rupees in an empty room, so it may work. So I said, okay, yeah, 10 rupees is a very little amount. Just put it 1 lakh and then check about the honesty of a person. So you just put, or you can just put 1 lakh rupees in an empty room, and you want to check the honesty of Mr. Ambani. Is he honest or not? Sorry to use his name, but I am just using an example. So you thought 1 lakh rupees, as I suggested by me, that if you put 1 lakh rupees in an empty room, if someone picks it, he is not honest. If he don't, then he is honest. So, you tried your algorithm on Mr. respected Mr. Ambani. So, he saw 1 lakh rupees stranded or just in the room, in an empty room, he didn't pick. You said, sir, he is honest and he didn't pick 1 lakh rupees, and then this algorithm works. When Ambani got to know that he has been tested by you, he said, oh buddy, please put 1000 crores. So, you got, okay sir, so 1 lakh rupees again is not sufficient to check the honesty. Next time you are going to put 1000 crores. Now, you check the same algorithm on some Mr. Elon Musk, and he said, oh 1000 crores, I don't pick it up, just put 10,000 crores again. So, the amount varies person to person, means your algorithm fails. If you want to check my honesty, maybe you can check me with 1 to 10 lakh rupees, for example. If you want to check the honesty, you can check for Mr. Ambani, that is 1000 to 1 lakh crores maybe. To check the Elon Musk, you have to go maybe a bit higher. So, can you say you have an algorithm to check the honesty of a person? You are saying, just take my algorithm and just bring any person in the world, apply my algorithm, and you will get the answer. So, this type of algorithm is not possible. Why? Because this value 10 rupees, 1 lakh, 10,000 crores or 1 lakh crores maybe varies person to person. To check my honesty, you need only 1 to 10 lakhs, for example. For Mr. Ambani, we need maybe 1000 to 10,000 crores. It is just an example, sorry. Okay. So, for the third person, maybe Mr. Musk, you may need some more, just assumption. Okay. So, you don't have a single paper, as you can say, this is my algorithm, just bring any person in the world and apply my algorithm, and you can just check out his honesty, whether he is honest or not. You can't say it, means you don't have any algorithm. You can't write an algorithm to do this. That is why we will say to check an honesty of a person is undecidable. Okay, now, if you pick some particular person X, whatever the person is, if you pick some particular person and spend some time with him, 1 month, 6 months or 1 year, then you can write an algorithm which suits that person only. Then you can write an algorithm to check the honesty of that person only. So, algorithm is possible. If you again pick another person, spend some time, and you can write an algorithm which suits only to that person. So, person to person algorithm varies, but a universal algorithm that applies to all the persons is not possible, and this is the question. So, there is no solution for the problem. So, we can solve the instances of the problem, but not the problem. So, let me conclude once again and last time. You don't have an algorithm which says you can apply this algorithm to anyone, and this algorithm will answer whether the person is honest or not. This is not possible. If you apply the particular algorithm on a particular person, then you can write an algorithm for that particular person. Yes, it is possible. So, the problem is undecidable. You don't have a universal algorithm which applies to all the instances or all the inputs to that problem. So, the problem is undecidable. So, that was all the discussion about decidability and indecidability, and we will discuss further it later with some technical terms when we study decidability as a topic. Now, so why do we need TOC? Because we want some mathematics to answer the problem, to answer whether the problem has solution or not without solving a problem on the first place. Okay. So, we need theory of computation, that is the mathematics, and the next part was to design a compiler. If you want to design a compiler, then we need a mathematics, that is theory of computation. Now, switch on to the first topic, that is basics, and in basics we will study around 22 points. So, you can just give a heading, that is basics. You can just give a name, that is basics, And in basics, first of all, we will study the symbol. What symbol is? As I told you before, symbol has no definition, means like atom, like point, they don't have any definition. You can understand them with an example. So, I am going to give example of the symbol. So, it is the smallest entity in the theory of computation. This is the smallest entity in theory of computation. So, by symbols we construct strings, and the collection of strings is language, and we study about languages in this subject, because we use theory of computation in compilers. So, we study languages in theory of computation. So, do not worry, we will not study C, Java, PHP, Python. We are not going to study the real practical programming languages. So, instead of programming languages, we will analyze the languages, that is the set. We will just use the set, and we learn all the concepts of the TOC on this set, and we, after generalizing it with this set, we are understanding all the concepts within this set, we apply them on languages practically. But in our syllabus, we will study languages in terms of set. Okay, I will tell you later what set and language is. So, first point is symbol. So, what is symbol? It is a smallest entity in theory of computation. So, I will give you the examples of these symbols. So, if you want to write, then you can write, otherwise you can refer some books for that, for definitions and all. Okay, so what is symbol? So, any smallest, any lowercase alphabet, again write it. So, any lowercase alphabet, any lowercase alphabets, for example, like A, B, C, like A, B, C, D up to Z, any lowercase alphabet like small a, b, c, small letters, and any special character, any special character or you can say symbol on your keyboard, symbol you find on keyboard of your computer is a symbol. Example like 1, 2, 3 up to 9, it may be 0, it may be minus, it may be plus, it may be star, it may be exclamation, it may be tilde, it may be dollar, it may be hash, it may be anything. So, whatever you find on your keyboard, any special character, any integer, anything, and its lowercase alphabets, all are symbols. So, these are all the symbols. Now, let us check what about these capital alphabets like A, B, C, D, uppercase alphabets. These are all known as variables, these are not the symbols. So, these are not symbols. So, uppercase alphabets are not symbols. So, what are symbol? What are symbols? Any lowercase alphabets like small case letters A, B, C, D up to Z, or any integer 1, 2 up to 9, 0, any integer whatever it is, and any special characters, all these are symbols. Okay. So, this is the example of symbols. Any you have to just note it down and just focus on this point. Uppercase alphabets, whatever it is A to Z, uppercase alphabets can never be a symbol. It is known as variables or identifiers. Okay. So, these are variables, or you can say you can name them, that is identifiers. So, now let me tell you one more point. Symbols are also known as terminals. Symbols are also known as terminals, and these variables are also known as non-terminals, and these variables are also known as non-terminals, and the symbol is also known as terminals. So, the technical term is terminal. We will use the word terminals instead of symbols. So, be ready for it. Terminals is known as symbols and variables is known as non-terminals. Variables are also known as identifiers. So, these are two notations, or you can say two names of variables. Non-terminal, symbol is terminals. So, this is the smallest entity in the TOC, and that is all for this discussion of this symbol. Now, second point is important, and second point is, that is string. What is string? Let us check. Second point is string. So, now check this one. Second point is string. This is very sensitive board actually. So, it senses my finger sometimes. So, sorry for that, I have to raise the things very often. So, next is a string, and it is denoted by this sign omega. This is a sign omega. So, a string is denoted by the sign omega. So, my suggestion is, while watching this video, if you want to write something, if you are making notes while watching this video, then pause it and write down whatever you like. This is my personal experience, that writing and understanding at the same time, it is a bit difficult. So, I think so. So, my suggestion is, you just focus on the concepts, and if you want to write something, then you just pause the video and write it down, then again resume the video and see. So, primary focus should be on the video. Whatever I am saying, just focus on it. Okay, you will be able to get 8 out of 8 marks if you practice and just focus on the concepts. Fine. So, it is denoted by omega. So, what the string? String, the definition of the string. Okay, we have the definition for string. So, what is a string? It is a sequence of, okay, let me write like finite, as I said. Okay, now this is a finite sequence of symbols. It is a finite sequence of symbols. So, the important thing is, first of all, there is finite, another is sequence, and next is symbols. Finite sequence of symbols. So, now let us take some example. For example, omega 1. If I write A, B, C, D, so this is one of the possible string. Why I say this is string A, B, C, D? Because it contains only symbols. String is made up of symbols. It can never contain variables, non-terminals. It is made up of only terminals. So, it is A, B, C, D. So, it contains only terminals, that is symbols. It is a string. First of all, finite sequence. So, it is finite. Why it is finite? Because we can list each and every symbol present in this string. If we can list, then it is finite. So, it is the finite, no doubt. So, let us take another example like single A. Next may be A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 and dollar and hash. So, if you ask me what is this? So, let me erase it. I am saying 1, 2, 3 like this one. So, again this is a string. Now, write fourth one. It is again example of a string. Write next one. It is not a string because it contains variables. It is not a string because it contains variables. It is a string which contains only symbols. It is a string which contains symbol. It is a string which contains symbols. It is a string which contains a symbol but repeating symbols. So, there is no issue. It is indeed a string. It is also a string. Now, come to the point or example 8. Let me write B, C, D, A, and number 9 is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So, W8 is a string, this is A, and W9 is also a string because it is a sequence of symbols. So, now in a string, sequence of symbols matters, sequence is important. So, if you see omega 1 A B C D and omega 8 that is B C D A, so both are different strings, means both are different. In ABCD, the order is A followed by B followed by C followed by D, and here in W8 it is B followed by C followed by D followed by A. So, it is different. If your name is ABC, for example, if your name is ABC, then someone else, some person's name is CBA, so both are different persons, they are different names. So, ABC is different from CBA. Okay, we do not use variables in a string, I am just giving you example. So, ABC is different from CBA, this is not a set, okay, this is not a set. So, ABC is different from CBA. So, ABCD, the string, the sequence matters, sequence is important. So, in ABCD, ABCD is different from BCDA. So, sequence is very important, and above all it should be finite sequence of symbols, finite sequence of symbols, that is it, so simple. Now, next come to the point, that is length of the string. Next is, okay, I have some problem on this. Okay, now next is length of a string. You may give it the point number 3, length of a string, length of a string. So, what about length? So, it is denoted by mod omega. So, it is the length of a string. So, what is the length? So, length of a string means that the number of symbols involved. If I say, if I say omega 1 is A, B, C, D, then the length of omega 1, that is mod omega 1, will be 4. So, the number of symbols involved is the length of the string, number of symbols involved. If I take one more example like omega 2, and omega 2 is AAA, or it may be again A. So, the length is 5, the number of symbols involved. A is repeated 5 times, but we have 5 symbols, the same symbol repeated 5 times, but we have 5 symbols involved in this string. So, it is, the length is 5. Okay, now check. Okay, now check. Next is omega 3. This is A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, and this is my last example, and the length is 7. The length is 7. The symbols involved is 7. Number of symbols involved. Okay. So, you know what is the length of a string. So, one more example, and that is a different one, is if a string is given epsilon. Now, this is the first introduction to you with epsilon. So, this is the sign, this sign is known as, you will read it as epsilon, epsilon, whatever it is, epsilon or epsilon. What is the meaning? I will just tell you. So, in Peter Lynch they use the sign lambda for epsilon. In Ullmann and in the GATE exam, you will use the notation this one. In Peter Lynch's book, they use, to denote the meaning of epsilon, Okay, we are using the sign, this one is epsilon, and they use lambda. In Peter Lynn's book, they use lambda for that. And in John C. Martin and Michael Sipser, you will find a cap. The notation is different, but the uses are same. So, the cap, lambda, epsilon, the meaning is same. Then what is the meaning of this epsilon or epsilon? What is the meaning? So, I will tell you what is the meaning of this. Just wait. So, what is the meaning of this? So, first of all, let us check the length of the string epsilon, this is 0. So, the length 0 string is epsilon, length 0 string, a string which contains no symbols at all. Okay, let me repeat. What is symbol? What is a string? A string is a finite sequence of symbols. Means a string is a finite sequence of symbols. In a string, you contain symbols, a finite sequence. What if you don't have any symbol in a string? What if you don't have any symbol in a string? So, that string is denoted by epsilon. This is known as null string, or you can say empty string. Null string, or you can say empty string. So, now length 0 string is known as epsilon. So, the length of a string of, if your string is epsilon, means there is no symbol at all. So, the length is 0, that is why we write this. So, if someone asks for the definition of a null string, then you can say, okay, the length 0 string is a null string which contains no symbol at all. So, no symbol at all, length is 0, and you can just see this one, length 0 string is epsilon. It is also known as null string or empty string symbol. So, epsilon is not a symbol, it is a string. Just remember this, it is a string, it is not a symbol. So, that is all about point number 3, that is length of a string. So, that is mode, and let me write it. So, let me write it in point number 4 for you. Okay, what is point number 4? See this one, empty string or null string, both are same. Empty string or null string, denoted by, actually I explained you in the length itself, but it is a next point, it was the next point, that is why I am writing it again, denoted by epsilon or epsilon, whatever you say. So, the string is null, then the length will be 0. So, the conclusion is length 0 string is empty string, or you can say null string. Or null string. Length 0 string is empty string or null string. So, now point number 5. Okay. Now, point number 5. So, just take me the content I have prepared for you after the length or null string, after the that's okay. The next point is concatenation. Next point is concatenation of this string. Concatenation. Concatenation of strings. Concatenation of these strings. So, what is concatenation? It is denoted by the sign dot. Denoted by the sign, that is dot. Okay. Denoted by the sign dot. So, let us focus on this. What is concatenation? So, I have a string omega 1 ABC and I have one more string, that is 1, 2, 3. So, what is the concatenation is all about? Concatenation, the meaning of omega 1 dot omega 2, this is known as concatenation. So, what is the meaning? A string followed by another is known as concatenation. So, omega 1 dot omega 2 is ABC dot 1, 2, 3. So, this is a sign of concatenation, but what happens? We do not usually use the dot sign while we do concatenation. The sign of concatenation is this one itself, that is the dot, but we do not use it. Why? The reason is, okay, now, so the length of omega is 4, the length of omega 2 is 3. So, the length of omega 1 dot omega 2 will be 7. Obviously it is. Why? Concatenation means a string followed by another string. So, the string is followed by another string. If you do concatenation and we know the definition of a symbol, any special character is a symbol. So, if you use dot, it will be included in the length of the string. Means someone will say that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, now it is ABC and omega 2 is itself is 1, 2, 3, it is not 4, it is 3. So, the length will be 6, and the answer will be 7, because you will count the dot in the length. So, avoid this confusion. We generally do not use the symbol dot in concatenation. We write in continuity like 1, 2, 3. Okay, we write in continuity that ABC 1, 2, 3, and the length is 6. So, once again we use the sign, we know concatenation is denoted by a dot, but we do not use it while we do concatenation, first of all. Okay, now, another important thing is concatenation is not commutative. What is the meaning of commutative? If I write omega 1 dot omega 2, the answer will be ABC 1, 2, 3, no doubt, you know that. But what if I write omega 2 dot omega 1? But what if I write omega 2 dot omega 1? Answer will be 1, 2, 3 ABC. And you know, in string, sequence matters, sequence is important. So, the conclusion is omega 1 dot omega 2 is not equivalent to omega 2 dot omega 1. We have one example and we can say it, concatenation is not commutative. Concatenation is not commutative. We may have some examples where you may find LHS equal to RHS, means we may have some examples where omega 1 dot omega 2 and omega 2 dot omega 1 both are same. We may have some examples, but for all the examples it is not correct. If it fails for one example or one condition, then we will say it fails, means it is not commutative. Addition, whether you do 2 plus 5 or you do 5 plus 2, you take any numbers from the universe, the answer will be same. Addition is commutative, but here concatenation is not commutative. Omega 1 dot omega 2 is not equivalent to omega dot omega 1, omega 2 dot omega 1. So, it is not commutative. Okay, now, so you know what is the meaning of the concatenation? A string followed by another, and the sequence is important, and we do not use dot sign while we do concatenation, but the representation is the dot. We use concatenation represented by the dot. We do not use that symbol. Okay, now let us move ahead. There are many other things also. So, check this one. If omega 1 is given like A, B, C and omega 2 is given epsilon, then what about omega 1 dot omega 2? It is just like A, B, C epsilon, and it is equivalent to A, B, C. So, concatenation of a string with epsilon is a string itself. It is just like multiplication by 1. It doesn't mean anything. Means it doesn't change the string. Okay, just write in this way. Epsilon dot anything with something. If you do concatenation of epsilon with something, or you can just say something dot epsilon will be something. So it is just like multiplication with 1. So let's move ahead. So now come to the next point about concatenation. So you know, okay, now check one more example, like we have, okay, just a second. Omega 1 is ABC, omega 2 is 1, 2, 3, and omega 3 is dollar and hash. So what about omega 1 dot, omega 2 dot, omega 3? Okay, if I do concatenation of omega 1 and omega 2 and later concatenated with omega 3, or if I do concatenation of omega 2 with omega 3 and later it is concatenated with omega 1. So you know it is not commutative, so order is important. So first of all we are doing omega 1 dot omega 2, the answer will be ABC 1, 2, 3, ABC 1, 2, 3, and later it is concatenated with, I am using dot, but I will not write dot in the final answer. So like this one. So the final answer in the LHS will be ABC 1, 2, 3 dollar and hash. What about the RHS? RHS we will write ABC here dot, and omega 2 omega 1 is 1, 2, 3 dollar and hash. And you will, if you do concatenation, that ABC 1, 2, 3 dollar and hash, you will check LHS is equal to RHS. So we can conclude, so that is concatenation is, that is concatenation is associative. Concatenation is associative. Yes, it is. So the order is important. So this is just an example. So concatenation is, for sure, it is associative. Okay, now next point. Probably maybe I forget the point. I think I will go by with my content. That is next will be point 7. This must be 6. Okay, whatever it is, we don't focus on the numbers, we will focus on the content. So I think it is point number 7. Whatever it is, you just give it the number. I am just saying it is number 7. So see, number 7, that is prefix of a string. Prefix of a string. Prefix of a string. Let's take one example. If you have a string A, B, C, D, okay, just wait. You have one string A, B, C, D. As we all know, what is the meaning of the prefix? Leading symbols, prefix. So the prefix of a string, just let me use some different colors so that you will understand it better. So A, AB, ABC and ABCD. So if someone asks me what are the prefixes, so I will say A is the prefix of ABCD, then AB, then ABC, then ABCD. The set of leading symbols. So this is one of the possible prefix. this one is also, this one is also, or this one is also. A string is a prefix of itself, and we know there is no meaning of writing epsilon in front of the string like this one, because epsilon ABCD is equivalent to ABCD, but we can include epsilon as a substring. So, these are the total substrings. Epsilon is also a substring. Epsilon is also a substring. So, you can just number it like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There are 5 substrings for this. Epsilon is also a substring. Okay, now, if I take another example, just check. Okay, let me erase it completely. Okay, now take another example. Another example is, that is omega. If I take A and A 4 times. So, what are the possible substrings? Epsilon, A, double A, triple A and 4 A's. These are the prefixes. Okay, now. So, if we study prefix of a string, then there is another term known as proper prefix. If you want what is proper prefix of the string ABCD, then you just write epsilon A, AB, ABCD and ABCD. Just ignore the string itself. These are the proper prefixes. Just ignore the string itself. So, these are the proper prefixes. In prefix of a string, include all, the string itself also. But in the proper prefix, just exclude this one. These are all the proper. So, this is example of proper prefix. Now, come to the next point. Next point is suffix. Come to the next point, that is suffix. So, now check this one, suffix of a string. Suffix of a string. So, it is a set of trailing symbols. For example, if you have a string A, B, C, D, then D will be the substring, CD will be the substring, BCD will be the substring and ABCD will be the substring. So, the meaning of substring is, it is the set of trailing symbols, means D, CD, BCD and ABCD. So, sometimes students do a mistake, that is D is a trailing symbol, that is a suffix, and DC, it is not DC, suffix is CD, suffix is BCD, suffix is ABCD. So, the suffix is DCD, BCD and you know epsilon. So, these are 5 suffixes, and there is no need to discuss that proper suffix will be these all. Proper suffix. They are the proper suffixes of the given string. So, this is all about prefix and suffix, and in the order the next is substring, and in the order the next is substring. Okay. Let us move ahead. Next is suffix, whatever the point is, but next is suffix. Not suffix, sorry, the next is substring. Substring, substring of a string. So, now next check what is substring. Let us take example, a string is given A, B, C, D. String is given A, B, C, D. Now I am talking about substring. So let's check what is substring. Okay, whether A is a substring of A, B, C, D or not. To answer this, you have to check whether whatever you are considering, means I am considering omega 1 as A. So whether omega 1 is a substring of omega, or in other words, A is a substring of A, B, C, D, then you have to locate this A into this string. If you locate that, then it is a substring. So no doubt that omega 1 is a substring of omega, or you can say A is a substring of A, B, C, D. Okay, now if I take one example, maybe like omega 10 maybe. So now check this one, whether BA is a substring of omega, whether BA is a substring of ABCD, then what we have to do, you have to locate the BA as it is in the string, because in a string order matters, order is important. So here it is given BA. So can you locate BA in the given string? So I can check, here it is AB but not BA. So it is not substring. Now what about AC? Can you locate AC as it is here? No. A is followed by B in this string. We are saying AC is not there. What about BD? Again no. What about CD? Yes, we have CD in this string. So conclusion is, what are substrings? That you can locate within the string. So now omega 1 is a substring, omega 2, that is B. So let me write in another way, what are substrings? So A is a substring, B is a substring, C is a substring, D is a substring. Why it is? You can locate each one of them in the given string. So now next, these are the length 1. These are the length 1 strings, length 1 substrings. Now AB, BC, CD, AB, BC, CD, these are length 2 strings, length 2 substrings. Now next, ABC, BCD, length 3, and the last ABCD, length 4. Means a string is a substring of itself, a string is a substring of itself, and one more epsilon, that is length 0. Epsilon is a substring of every string, and a string is a substring of itself always. So these are the, you can count, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Total 11 strings are possible, and the formula is n into n plus 1 by 2. N, what is the meaning of n? That is the length. The length is 4. So what you can do, I think this is the formula, n into n plus 1 by 2 plus 1. So you can just write 4 into 5 divided by 2 plus 1. So this will be 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. So how many substrings possible from a given string? You can just apply n into n plus 1 by 2 plus 1. But this formula fails sometimes, somewhere. So what are the examples? I will tell you. So just check. If a string is given, then what is substring? If you are saying the omega 1 is a substring of omega, then locate omega 1 as it is in this string. So I just told you AC is not a substring. Why? Because AC is not present as it is in this string. So AC is not a substring. AC is not a substring of ABCD. I hope you got it. Now the formula fails somewhere. So where it fails? So where it goes wrong? Let me tell you. Just imagine one if you take omega as, sorry, okay, now if you take omega as and A, if you take this omega as A and A, let me erase this. Okay, now write all these substrings. If you take this AA, now substrings will be A, double A, triple A and 4A's and epsilon. These are the possible substrings only. These are the 5 possible substrings. You can't write sixth one because we don't have a sixth possibility. These are the only 4 substrings possible, and the formula says if you have 4 elements, 4 symbols, then there should be 11 substrings, but we have only 5. There is no possibility for 6. So, the formula n into n plus 1 by 2 plus 1 fails on this string. It simply fails, and why it fails, I will tell you the reason. So, let us move. Okay. So, what is the reason why it fails? So, this formula only is correct or only possible when we have distinct symbols, when we have only distinct symbols in a string. If we have any duplicate symbols, symbol in a string, this formula will fail. So, it is only valid when we have distinct symbols in a string. Okay. So, this is all about this substring. Yeah. So, we will do it we will discuss the next topics in the next video.